Some memories don't fade with time. They wait, patient and quiet, until something reminds you they're still alive. Before I tell you what happened, do one thing for me. If you enjoy slow, psychological horror that feels real enough to question your own memories, subscribe to this channel. Like the video. Share it with someone who watches horror alone. And in the comments, tell me which city and country you're watching from, and what time it is for you right now. Because what happened to me didn't begin with fear. It began with something much worse. Confusion. There's a moment after waking when your mind hasn't fully chosen reality yet. Dreams still cling to you, soft and convincing, like they belong where you are now. Most people shake that feeling off within seconds. I didn't. For weeks, I kept catching myself looking for something I couldn't name. Faces in crowds felt familiar. Empty spaces felt occupied. I would pause mid-step, convinced someone had just walked past me, only to find nothing there. I blamed exhaustion, schedule changes, stress. At the time, I worked for a public transit safety department in the northeastern United States. After years of overnight shifts, I had finally moved to early duty hours. Everyone told me it would improve my sleep, my mood, my focus. Instead, it sharpened my thoughts in a way that felt dangerous. Reality started to feel thin. The transit hub where I worked sat beside an older residential block. Tall apartment buildings loomed over the tracks, their windows dark, even when the city around them stayed awake. Some structures were occupied. Others looked abandoned, but officially weren't. From my assigned housing, I could see the platforms clearly. Long stretches of concrete disappearing into shadow. Certain areas always felt avoided, not closed, just ignored. Co-workers joked about it. Quiet jokes, the kind people laugh at without smiling. They said certain platforms never felt right. They said some buildings nearby never kept tenants long. They said the place remembered things. I told myself, people create stories to make routine work interesting. That belief lasted exactly as long as it took for me to notice her. Sleep refused to come that night. Not because I was afraid, but because my thoughts wouldn't slow down. My body felt tired. My mind stayed alert, restless, searching. So I went for a walk. I told myself it was routine, a habit from my overnight years, a way to check the station when I couldn't shut my eyes. The truth was simpler. I didn't want to be alone with my thoughts. The station was quieter than usual. Not empty, just subdued. Travelers sat far apart, their faces dimly lit by overhead lights. Some slept upright, others stared forward, disconnected. I moved slowly, observing, listening. That's when I noticed someone standing across the tracks, near one of the older buildings. She stood near the edge of a rooftop walkway, separated from the station by a narrow service road. Her posture was wrong, not relaxed, not impatient. More like someone rehearsing a decision they didn't want to make. She wasn't dressed for travel. No bag, no phone, no sign she planned on going anywhere. I watched longer than I should have. When she moved closer to the barrier, my training kicked in. Instinct overrode curiosity. I didn't think about rumors or stories or empty buildings. I thought about liability, about responsibility, about a life I could stop from ending. That's what I believed I was doing when I crossed over. She was crying when I reached her. Quietly. Not the kind of crying meant to be heard. The kind that happens when someone is already tired of explaining themselves. She told me to leave. She said there was nothing left for her here. I introduced myself. Told her my job wouldn't allow me to walk away. Told her we could talk. That whatever she was facing didn't have to end tonight. She stared at me with an expression I still struggle to describe. It wasn't anger. It wasn't fear. It was recognition, like she'd been waiting for me. She led me inside the building. There was no proper entrance, no lights in the stairwell. Each step echoed like the place hadn't heard footsteps in years. When we reached her floor, I noticed something that made my stomach tighten. There was no door, just an open frame leading into darkness. Inside, the apartment looked abandoned, furniture outdated, dust layered thick enough to dull every surface. The air smelled old, stale, unused. And yet, she moved through it like it was home. She spoke as if she'd always lived there. We talked for a long time. She laughed at things that weren't funny, asked questions that felt strangely rehearsed. She listened to everything I said like it mattered more than it should have. There was something fragile about her, something unfinished. When I finally stood to leave, she looked afraid again. Not of the building, not of the height, of being alone. I gave her my address. Even as I said it, something inside me warned me not to. Days passed. I convinced myself the encounter had been a coincidence, a one-time incident. Someone in crisis I'd helped, nothing more. Then I saw her again. She stood on the platform this time, closer than before, watching me approach like she already knew I would. She asked why people hurt things that were already broken. I didn't know how to answer. We sat together on a bench. She said something that didn't feel right. "You can't hurt someone who's already gone." I laughed, expecting her to smile. She didn't. A coworker called my name, asked me who I was talking to. I turned back. The bench was empty. He told me the building I described had been condemned years earlier. No residents, no utilities. No one lived there. A woman had died there years ago, quietly, unnoticed. People said she still wandered, looking for someone who could see her. That night, she came to me. Not at the station, in my room. Smiling. She asked if I would walk with her again. Said she missed our talks. Said she hated being alone. I said no. The room grew colder. Her smile stayed. I transferred weeks later. Different city, different assignment. Some places don't let go. I still think about her. Not with fear. With guilt. If you ever feel drawn to someone who shouldn't be there, walk away. Was she real, or did I need her to be? Some stories don't end. They wait.